shooting film has made me a better artist. But first, we need to answer this question. Why is film photography becoming more and more popular? But in reality, we already know the answer. It's for the vibes. Alright, but how would I answer that now after I've been shooting exclusively on film for over a year? Every single project, every single photo snapped, went through the good old celluloid, and even developed and scanned by my own hands. I've had the hands-on creative control from its entire existence. So with this much more intimate understanding of film, my answer has changed. Not only does it still provide
the vibes,
but my honest answer now is that shooting on film has made me a better artist. I already have tons of creative interests, so why does this specific medium mean so much to me now? And after all of my mistakes, I've condensed all of that knowledge into 3 major lessons that I learned after switching to film exclusively for over a year. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Andrew. I cover all things film photography, cameras, settings, how to use them, and just creative topics in general. So if you haven't already, please like this video as it actually makes a big difference, and it would mean the world if you would consider subscribing. Blah. Okay, moving on. Okay, so clearly I love film, but it's definitely not perfect. And let's also make this crystal clear that I'm not saying it's a superior art form at all. It definitely has its limitations, and we're not here to argue over what's better, but rather we're talking how this was a better fit for me personally. We live in a digital age where everything is screaming for your attention. We all have access to the internet, and therefore we have access to infinity. Literally sitting in our pockets is infinity. Think about that. So even if we just boil down infinity to just the topic of cameras, we already know that technology has run laps around film, and a lot of those advancements have already made film obsolete in a lot of technical categories. Sharper pictures, accurate colors, higher resolution, and all of that technology, again, fits in your pocket. With how cumbersome, slow, and outdated film is, it's really obvious that film was never the future of photography. Although, as cool as I think it would be to have a 35mm film lab operating inside your pocket, as someone who develops and scans my own film at home, that just would never be possible. But while we're on that topic, every single step in shooting film photography requires you to wait. Even during the shooting process, I have to wait until all the pictures on the roll have been shot. Then I have to wait for a large enough batch to make the developing process worth all the effort. I unload the roll, develop it, treat it, dry it, still have to wait for 3 hours. I set up my scanning equipment, which really I'm just taking pictures of my pictures, getting a little inception-y on you. Then I take those files, edit all of said files one by one, and then that is when I get to see the picture I took. My point is that literally every single step of shooting film requires you to be patient. If you've looked at any childhood photos, there's this beautiful nostalgia that seems to scream at you from the depths of time. And just by using the medium of film, visually you're achieving the same thing. But again, because we have to wait for all of these steps, it does produce actual nostalgia instead of just the visual nostalgia. Do you see where I'm going with this? By removing the instant gratification of having the result right away, you not only appreciate the pictures more, but it gives you time for the experiences and moments to turn into memories, which allow your pictures to age like a beautiful fine wine along with your life. I enjoy the process just as much. I mean, who in their right mind would go through all of this effort, spend all of this money, not make a dime off of it, and even pay to participate with an art form that's slower, way more inconvenient, and adds a bazillion more steps? For me, shooting film photography is the scenic route, even if it's slower. Again, I enjoy that process, sometimes even more than that final image. Time is what made it sweeter. Now, number 2. The second lesson. Inviting limitations gives you a challenge. If you know you only have a certain number of shots, every single one matters so much more. When you treat art like a precious resource, you are naturally more careful. The same way that if you're playing a video game with infinite attempts, after you know how many lives are left or how expensive resources are, you're so much more thoughtful, but most importantly, the gravity of every single decision you make sinks in. Due to the unfortunate reality of film photography, you have to pay to play. You have to pay for a camera, pay for the film, pay for it to get developed, pay for the scans. Throughout every single step of the film photography process, you're being bled dry. Can you imagine a job that you love so much, you'd rather pay your employer to have access to your job? If that existed, would you do it? When every click of the button costs you $1 or more, you are more careful, thoughtful, and aware. Scarcity invites intention, and this intention forces you to approach everything from a different angle. When you know that your film has a literal expiration date and will only exist for a certain amount of time, the images that you make tend to be a lot more meaningful. For me, what changed everything was just slowing down. Film is horribly slow, wildly inefficient, expensive, and frankly, downright frustrating sometimes. Yeah, there's no but. Manual focusing, dialing settings with no help from the camera, clunky buttons, switches, and dials. It's like working with an old time bomb that probably won't work, that's constantly fighting you for control, and even if you do everything perfectly, it could still self-destruct at any moment. So there's so much room for error. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes, but failure is a great teacher. Your mistakes have real weighted consequences. The horrifically unforgiving nature of film makes it an honest teacher. If you made a mistake, the film will not lie to you. You'll see your failure in all its beautiful glory, beyond saving, beyond recovery, and the irreparable moment will be gone forever. No pressure, right? But that's the point. The sweet victories of when it does work out and the stars align make that enjoyment so much sweeter. With film, sometimes it feels like it's more of a miracle when it does work out. And that appreciation is what I'm talking about. So, is film superior? Absolutely not. But again, as someone who's built a career on shooting for huge brands like Hydro Flask, Fujifilm, and many more, nothing was more refreshing than doing all of this because I wanted to and for literally no other reason. I constantly inconvenience myself because I want to participate with my art in every step of the process, which gave me an intimate appreciation for my craft. Patience taught me to appreciate every mistake. Inviting scarcity taught me to be so much more intentional. Because I paid the price with my blood, sweat, and tears, oh yeah, and actual money, that made it personal. And making it personal is what made me a better artist.